Hey guys, welcome back to the NFL Addict, and today we are going to be previewing the Super Bowl and giving my prediction on who I think will win. It's crazy to think that we're finally here. The NFL season starts, and I know it feels like it was just yesterday that Week 1 was happening, and we were all getting psyched for all of our teams. But I mean, in reality, it has been a while, and it always just feels so good to get to the end, even though most of us have already been eliminated. But let's go ahead and talk about it. I haven't really given any of my thoughts on the Super Bowl prior to this video. I've mainly just talked about what's been going on, the Matthew Stafford trade, all that stuff. I figured I'd go ahead and make a video. I've got my notes here. I'm going to try to keep this kind of short and concise. I know you've got 75 other YouTubers out there making videos about the Super Bowl, so you probably don't want to sit here and watch some random dude talk about it for 18 minutes. Let's go ahead and get started. So, first off, the Chiefs are 3-point favorites. They are expected to win this game. And in my opinion, looking at, all over social media and all over from everything I'm seeing, a lot of people are expecting the Chiefs to win. It's like, a lot of people thinking it's not even going to be close, that, Tom Brady's a fraud or whatever, but you got to look at a couple things. One, Tom Brady from, the regular season looks nothing like how he looked in the postseason. I watched, I think, 2 out of 3 of his games. No, I watched all of them, actually. I just didn't, pay that much attention to one. And he looked a lot better. I mean, he went up against Green Bay, and he outdueled Aaron Rodgers, and Aaron Rodgers is the likely MVP. And, I mean, he looked really good against Washington's defense. I mean, he made Washington's defense look bad. And Washington, I mean, obviously I'm a bit biased, but I think their defense is pretty good. I forgot I was wearing this shirt. But, yeah, I mean, he has been playing pretty well. And, I mean, it kind of shocked me that they made a Super Bowl too. I thought that they would be – I obviously thought they would beat Washington. Even though I'm a Washington fan, I'm not crazy unrealistic. I honestly thought they wouldn't beat the Saints, and they did, and they looked really good doing it. And then you go up against the Packers, and I thought, all right, here's when they die, and they didn't. So, I mean, you might look and think, during the regular season, they were kind of off and on. But during the postseason, they've played some of their best football. Same thing with the Chiefs, though, because you look back and, towards the end of the season, the last 6-7 weeks, they were playing down to their opponents. They were playing some opponents like the Broncos and the Falcons, and they were playing down. I think they won the Broncos game by 2 or 3 points. Same thing with the Falcons game. Low-scoring games that really should have been blowouts in the Chiefs' favor. They did still win it, though, and then in the postseason, they looked really good. I mean, the Browns, they managed to go out there and beat them after the Browns came off of a not 48-point win, but they scored 48 points against that tough Steelers defense, and they go up against the Bills, and they managed to embarrass the Bills, really make the Bills look bad. I mean, they were kind of underdogs in that game, kind of. I mean, even I thought the Bills were going to win that one, and they didn't. So both of these teams are playing really good football in the postseason, and both of these teams, in my opinion, I expect it to be a really good game. Obviously, the point spread is pretty close. It's only 3 points. However you look around, and people are expecting this to be a 35-24 win for the Chiefs. I think it'll be a pretty close game. You look at this one, even just looking at the stats. I know you can't really. All I can write down are stats, really. But even just looking at the stats, they're pretty similar. And I mean, it's crazy. A lot of this video is going to be me trying to explain why I don't think it'll be a blowout. And another reason is that, I mean, you look at both of these teams and they're both stacked. I mean, you look at the Buccaneers, and they were kind of like the Browns of last year. I think I actually made a video about it preseason. They have so much talent on their team that it was impossible for him to fail. Kind of like the Browns of last year, when everyone was like, oh wow, Jarvis Landry, Odell Beckham Jr., Kareem Hunt, their new good quarterback, and then last year they kind of flopped. I might have been talking about that possibly happening this one, but it didn't. They played really, really well. Tom Brady, he definitely showed his age in a couple games. In the postseason, though, he has been playing really well, although you can't ignore his regular season. You can't just say, those 4 or 5 weeks of the regular season where he did not look nearly as good as he did 2 years ago or 5 years ago. We're going to ignore those because he played 3 games in the postseason. No, obviously, he is not as good as he used to be, but in the postseason, he's looking like postseason Brady. Their defenses are actually pretty close. Obviously, they're both, in my opinion, very, very offensive-focused teams. So their defenses are pretty. I mean, they both have pretty good defenses, but they're also both, very much. They both have better offenses than they do defenses. So let's go ahead and kind of get started with the direct comparison. I'm going to go through here, and I'm just going to talk about, some matchups and stuff. So first off, you have kind of like Tom Brady it's not going to be direct matchups, actually. It's just, Tom Brady against Patrick Mahomes. They're never going to be on the field together until the end of the game, probably. But Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady, I'm just like, well, I think it's pretty obvious that Patrick Mahomes is better than Tom Brady. This is kind of like the changing of the guard. Tom Brady has been on top for the past, 20 years, and then we're seeing Patrick Mahomes coming up, and Patrick Mahomes looks like he is going to be a dominant force in this league for a long time, especially now that we know that he's going to be at least on contract for the next 10 years, unless they, change some things around, which I don't see why Patrick Mahomes would want to get rid of a 10-year, $500 million deal. So Patrick Mahomes is going to be around for the long run, and it'll be interesting to see if Tom Brady can kind of say, like, hey, I'm still hanging on. I do kind of feel like, though, if Tom Brady does lose this one, I feel like he's going to be around next year, but if he wins this one, I feel like there's a pretty good chance that he retires. But that's all we're here to talk about. Let's go ahead and get back. So they're running games. In my opinion, I think that the Buccaneers actually have an advantage here. You got Ronald Jones, you've got Leonard Fournette, and they've been playing really well all season. You look at the Chiefs, and you've got Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who after that first game kind of hasn't done anything too crazy. That first game against the Texans was by far his best game. He looked really good. I was watching that one and I was like, wow, this kid is going to be great. And then he wasn't. He was outplayed by likes like James Robinson and Antonio Gibson. They were all, obviously, again, I'm biased on Antonio. I cannot speak English. But yeah, I think, in my opinion, the Buccaneers actually have an advantage in the running game. However, in the passing game, I do still think that Patrick Mahomes is better. So, and I think, let's go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and make my prediction. I've been, rambling on for long enough. You look at this game, and I think it is going to come down to a lot to the passing game, because these are two high-scoring offenses, and you cannot be high-scoring if you're constantly running the ball. And what I mean is you're going to drain the clock a lot, and if you're, in a high-scoring, 45 to 42 matchup at the end of the game, you're not going to be able to run the ball a lot. So I do still think that the Chiefs are actually going to win this one. I doubt they'll cover they might cover the spread, but I doubt they'll go like 4 or 5 points. I think it'll be a very, very close game, but I do still think the Chiefs will win. So I am buying into all that hype in the end that I just talked trash about. So yeah, also sorry if my audio sounds trash. My little thing that normally goes on my lav mic fell off. So if this video sounds terrible, I'm sorry. I'm trying to talk quieter than normally. I talk like this, and it makes my video sound like dog. But thank you so much for watching this video. I really do hope to see you in my next one. I'm either going to continue doing my daily show, or I'm going to do a video where I think Cam Newton will go, because I was going to do one on Matthew Stafford, but we already know what happened there. And I have a feeling that, Deshaun Watson, they're getting offers. We'll see if he goes anywhere anytime soon. But thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope to see you. Oh, I already said that. You know what to do.